you remember how all this works?
No.
Is the mic even close enough to you? Do you
I don't
remember
know.
that?
I don't know.
So you have the mic close enough, Blake? It's fine.
We're okay.
Yeah.
Good.
All right. We have a working computer now because our very last episode
You
we
remember?
had. Yeah, it was a great episode.
Had the great Farmstead Summit.
Best episode. Yeah, Farmstead Summit was excellent.
Yeah, had a bunch of people show up. Had a good time.
Yeah, man.
Food was excellent.
Food was good. This like the whole environment of like stepping out from the city.
Right.
Bunch of guys around the fire.
Yep. That was the best thing. I went to bed at like 11 or 12, and there's 20 guys still around the fire hanging out. And
Yeah.
they're like, hey, can you kill the lights? We don't see these stars at home.
Yeah.
And
there's no electricity out there, so the
there's
lights
nothing.
were just like.
Yeah, we killed a
solar
generator,
lights.
and
we had a
we were
generator,
done.
yeah.
So
But yeah, so late at night, then early in the morning, like one of my highlights was having one of the guys who led some rucking in the morning.
yeah,
And it's like one of those perfect scenes, right?
Yeah.
So it's like 5:30 probably. So we got up around 4 or something to start cooking.
yeah, it was dark.
It was around 5:30. They're around the fire, and he's there with this weighted vest and like pumping all these guys up while they should be out rucking as well and
Yep.
telling his story and how it transformed him.
Yeah.
And you see the embers and everything from the fire and like
Right.
the sherry, and then they all take
30
off.
minutes later, you see a bunch of headlamps come running through the woods.
It was, man, that was such a great weekend.
Yep.
Speaking was excellent. Having Matt, and
Yeah.
Daniel there.
Yeah, that was really good.
Um,
and we
food.
recorded a great podcast.
That's
episode.
where, yeah,
That's where things went downhill.
afterwards. So
And,
yeah, and I think here in a few weeks we're going to go ahead and start pushing out the date for next year to go ahead and save it.
Okay.
Definitely going to do it again.
Good. Yeah, and maybe a mid-year.
Yeah, we're going to do. Yeah. We're going to do
Mid-year
something
event?
smaller, couple
Cool.
other events
Awesome.
to keep that momentum going. But
Yeah.
good connecting with. There's a lot of guys from several different churches.
Yeah, that was good.
All stages of life.
It was a lot of fun to see some new faces.
Breakout sessions
Yeah.
went really well. That was a highlight for me as well. It's just like
Good.
kind of looking around the
I was
woods.
stuck cooking the whole time, so
Yeah.
I mean, I
yeah.
did see 3 or 4 sessions going on. 10 or 15 guys in a group talking, but I just I didn't
Yeah.
get to attend those. So.
One of the other highlights was we had a shooting competition at the end at the 22s.
Yeah.
And just a random kid that we know that's
Right.
never shot before, never been in the woods before or camped or anything.
Yeah, I think he won it or came in
He
second.
came in
and-
second.
Okay.
Were you in the competition?
I was. I was out early.
Okay, so he beat you.
Yeah, I didn't want to take home a medal.
Okay, okay.
Being the host of the event.
Well, that kid borrowed a gun and went up there and outshot every guy there except one.
Yeah, that's great.
It was,
So,
man.
yeah, really good weekend. I really want to do that again.
Yeah, we definitely. We'll do it again. We'll release the date here soon. So
Good.
with that, we're back for season 7
Yeah.
of Tough Men of Faith.
Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm pretty excited for
Blake
this
needs
year.
one of those buttons over there. It's like the fan roars when he pushes the button. Or,
We need
the
some-
applaud button.
We need some of that.
Yeah.
Blake, can we make that happen? Like some noise?
Is it like a couple $100 or something you need?
Probably won't work.
Is it 40? Yeah.
It
Great.
probably won't work.
Do not crash. Don't take a chance at crashing. The
Yeah,
computer
we'll have to
again.
separate computer. Season 7, man.
We'll just get him on back there with a cassette tape, and he can just push play.
So
Season 7.
season 7, yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know. We thought this was going to be I didn't think it was going to be a one and done, but
Here
you
we
did.
are. Yeah,
Here we are, a couple hundred episodes in.
a couple hundred episodes. I was looking on Podbean or something. I think we're over 11,000 downloads.
That's cool.
Would that be right, Blake?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, over 11,000.
Good.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To think that people really care to think to see what we have to say.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
11,000 times.
so here's kind of where we're heading this year
Yeah.
and this season, and then we'll jump into a topic for today.
Okay.
So this season's all going to like kind of go together. So 20 episodes packaged together.
Okay.
Tough men, strong faith, 20 essentials for life.
Okay.
Sound good?
Yeah, it does.
It's about a month ago I ran that idea by you. Like,
Yeah.
hey, here's 20 things that I think it'd be good for guys to look at, think through. Some of it we've already talked about, we've touched on, but
Yeah.
it's kind of 20 essentials.
Yeah. I like it.
Guys forget things.
Oh, yeah.
It's been a while since we've been recording, so
What?
yeah.
How's this even work?
Yeah, I don't know.
It's like your grandpa said, I'm on the radio.
He did. He's pretty pumped.
Yeah.
Yeah, so since we've recorded last, we've had an election.
Yeah. Oh,
Did you hear about that?
I did, yeah. Some people aren't too happy about that.
Some aren't too happy. Some are really happy. Man,
Yep.
it's a wild time in our country.
It is.
And I think it's a time where you see we need men, like
Yeah.
tough,
Yeah, we need to have brotherhood.
faithful men. Yeah.
Yep.
Since the last episode, you turned 40.
I did. Thank you.
I think you're looking younger.
I'm not.
Yeah, it must be the hat.
It could be the hat.
Does that say silencer?
Yeah.
Did you get a new silencer?
It's not. Yeah, it's new.
The hat?
The hat. Yeah.
Okay.
They give you free merch when you buy enough silencers.
You know, I know those places, and you guys spend quite a bit of money before you get a free hat.
Well, I got a free hat. So
Does Rachel know how much you had to spend to get that free hat?
Rachel doesn't even know anything.
Okay.
The bills are paid. Yep.
Yeah. Anything else new with you?
No, man, life is good.
Good.
I feel good. I feel healthy, and I'm
Yeah.
ready to jump into season 7. So
Yeah. So this season, what's he saying over there?
I have no idea. He's whispering.
Do we have a sponsor this season? Increase Jesus?
Would have been nice if we knew who it was
Man,
beforehand.
you got to tell us about the sponsors for the season. So
That's right.
Increase Jesus is sponsoring us again this year. Appreciate
He'll be happy
Seth.
to know that we knew that.
Hey, he made some really nice shirts for the Farmstead
He
Summit.
did. He did a really good job.
Man, my family all wanted a shirt, so I had to
Oh,
go
yeah.
get them shirts.
Oh, did you?
So somehow everyone in my family has a Farmstead Summit shirt.
That's weird. You date a bunch of girls. Or you date. You have a bunch of girls.
Bunch of girls, they wear 'em. Yeah, they love that. Yeah, increasejesus.com.
Okay.
Tough-10, is that for 10%?
10% off.
10% off.
Yeah.
Check them out.
Okay.
And I think he's going to be putting together some Tough Men of Faith merch
Yeah,
for us.
he
so-
did a really good job on those. Those are nice.
Yeah, he does.
So
He does
if
a
you
good
want
job.
a shirt next time, you have to attend. Unless
That's
you're
true.
a woman.
Well, yeah. Well, one of them came and helped, so that's why.
Yeah, for sure.
So here's where I was going with this
Yep.
season: 20 Essentials for Life.
Yeah.
We're going to capstone this season with going back out to the farm
Okay.
for a Friday night barn something. We got to get a
Raising?
better name. Not a raising. There's already a barn there.
Tearing it down.
We're not tearing it down.
Well, Grandpa let us drive the tractors.
We can drive tractors.
Sounds good.
But yeah, so what it's going to look like is 20 episodes each week. That's going to take us to about mid-April.
Okay.
The end of April, we'll probably put the date out here in the next week or two.
Yeah.
Just the one Friday night. We're going to have a speaker. It's time of fellowship, fire, all kinds of stuff. It's going to be a blast.
Okay.
Great dinner.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, we're going to take everything out of the barn, have an event in there.
Okay.
It's going to be good.
Yeah, it'd be fun.
I'm really looking forward to it.
Good. Me
So,
too.
Yeah, it'll
I
be
wish
good.
we could show you the barn and you know what that all entails, but
Yeah.
you just have to show up.
You have to show up. Here we go. Episode 1 of our 20 Essentials for Life. We're starting here with anchoring your life in faith.
Yep.
What are you thinking?
I like it.
Yeah.
That's why you got the anchor tattoo, right?
I don't.
Not
You know
'cause
what
you're-
Karen does, all
Not
right?
because you were a Navy man.
I do not have an anchor tattoo. My wife has an anchor tattoo.
She does.
So yeah,
Yeah.
based off of the, what's that verse?
I don't know.
It's in
She-
Hebrews.
I thought she
She
I
knows.
thought she
Yeah,
dated
would
a
know.
Navy guy before you.
No, no. Talking about that God's an anchor for our soul. This an
Oh, yeah.
anchor has a lot of meaning for her.
Yeah.
That her faith, she really feels like, is the anchor to everything in her life. It's motherhood, her job as a nurse, having to put up with me as a husband.
Right.
So everything she does, like
You're
it's
the
anchored.
anchor on you guys' life.
Yeah. So
Just kidding.
having our faith as an anchor for us, and
Yeah.
what does it mean to build everything in our life on faith? Then kind of playing in hey, the name of this podcast is Tough Men of Faith.
Right.
What does it really mean to have faith?
Yeah.
How does that change our life? It's one of those words we just kind of throw around.
Oh, yeah.
Like, do you have faith? Yeah, I have faith.
Oh, yeah, I got faith.
What does that mean
Yeah.
for your life in general? So I think today we may kind of use David as an example,
Okay.
partly because I've been preaching
Yeah,
through
we've
it.
been talking about
We've
this
been
a little
talking
bit.
about it for
Yeah.
I don't know,
I shouldn't be a stranger to it.
3 months now, so you should be familiar with it. Even though, man, where you been? You haven't been to church the last 3 weeks.
I've been hiding from you.
Hunting season.
Hunting
I know what it
season.
is.
You know where I'm at.
I know where you're at.
Yeah.
Out there watching on a live stream because it's the reason you're not getting any deer, probably.
It's not. I've taken thousands of pictures. Rachel told me she's not gonna let me go hunting with a gun next year. She's gonna send me with a camera.
Every time I get done preaching on Sunday,
know.
I get a message from you,
Good sermon.
great sermon or some feedback on it.
I actually have it preset to just send that at 12:04. That way you think I actually watched.
I appreciate it. Anyways, we're going through David, right? And I think one thing that we see a lot through David's life.
Yeah.
So much there.
But we see a faithful,
We see faithful
a faithful
and a
future
life
king.
built on faith.
Right.
If you take from the very beginning, and then everything he accomplishes towards the end, when maybe not the end, but when he messes up,
Yep.
and then how his faith is strong and kind of just brings him back around to finish strong.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, the part that sticks with me when you talk about faith is that, David was tending the sheep, and they came to him and told him that he was going to be
Yeah.
king, but they told him, in the meantime,
Yeah.
it's not going to happen today.
Yeah.
You're going to be the king one day, but go get back out to the flock of sheep.
Yeah. Do you think David felt inadequate like that first day when they came and anointed him as
I mean,
king?
how could you not?
Yeah.
If you're a man, how could you not?
Yeah, especially knowing that, the story, the brothers all come in because the prophet's like, hey,
Yeah,
You know,
looking for somebody in this
goes
family.
his dad's like, hey, we're looking for someone, one of your sons.
Yep.
And they don't even bring David in from the field.
Right? Yeah, they just let him stay there.
It's like, no, it's none of these guys. And then they go get David. It's like, this
He's
is him.
surely not going to be
Right?
this guy.
So if you're David, like, wait, I'm going to be king?
Right.
Like, I'm with the sheep.
Are you sure?
my brother. So, and then I think what you see is like the faith that he has, which would be why I think he's anointed, God's sovereignty at the early age.
Yeah.
But this continues to increase from there each
Right.
step. So
Yep.
he was,
And maybe that's the reason that, it was put off for so long,
yeah.
is to, let him grow in his faith.
Yeah. Well, I think that the anchoring in your faith, right, it starts with small, quiet battles
Right.
that other people don't see.
Yeah.
Right. So it's
Yeah.
the small things, and your faith begins
Yeah, because if you don't
to grow.
have that built on a good foundation, when the big battle comes,
Right.
you'll fall every time.
Yeah, because David eventually is going to be like this great warrior,
Right.
that we see that's going to go and kill tens of thousands, while Saul only kills thousands.
Yeah.
But that warrior that started in a pasture with sheep, right? So the
Right.
warrior was really built while he was there in the pasture,
Yep.
not when he's on that battlefield to finally be there. So
Yeah.
it's kind of that thing like,
Well, I think-
who are you when no one's watching?
Yep, exactly. And I think that's what we need to look at ourselves and do a little reflection on is, who are you when nobody's watching, and what small battles are you accomplishing and overcoming each
Yeah.
day? And when it does lead to a big battle or a big thing going on in your life,
Yeah.
what's that look like for you? Like, who are you going to be when that day comes?
Yeah. And I think in our culture, especially, we like for people to know what we're doing
Oh, yeah.
or what's going right, because we live in the social media
Oh,
world.
yeah, for sure.
Where if we help someone out,
Oh, we're sharing toothbrushes.
if we do something good, right? We're like, hey, everyone needs to know, right? That, my faith is strong and look
Yeah.
what I'm doing. Where David, anointed, go back out to the sheep. So no one cares what he's doing out to sheep.
Right.
Like, hey, you're protecting sheep. Like, that's good.
Yeah.
That's your job. But at the end of the day, like, he killed a bear.
Right.
A pretty big deal, right? Killed a bear.
Yeah.
And then who would he tell? It's like,
Right.
who would care? Like,
The sheep.
but he's building his own faith.
Right,
Because
exactly.
he's going to use that when he faces Goliath. He's
Yep.
going to be like, hey, I can face Goliath because I killed a bear.
Yeah.
Like, did you really kill a bear? It doesn't matter if anybody else believes him because he knew he did it.
Right.
He knew God gave him the faith to do it.
Yep.
So, yeah, I used that. I don't know if you remember the sermon a few weeks ago when I was talking about singing, like worship.
Nah, you
I
talked about
offended a
that.
bunch of guys.
Huh?
You were probably out hunting that day. But I used to line. I didn't have my notes or anything. I just set it up there, and I probably
Yeah.
wasn't the nicest when I was saying it. I was like, some of you guys think service.
Oh, yeah, I
was
did
like,
hear that.
Let me tell you, David was a man. He's like, he was out killing bears with his hands.
Right.
And none of you I didn't say jokers. That's what came to my mind. None of it wasn't jokers, but it's like none of you guys are doing that. So you guys aren't really that manly.
Right.
So,
So start singing.
so start singing, or at least don't use that as an
Yeah.
excuse.
Yeah,
But yeah.
the bass is terrible in this room. Step it up, gentlemen.
But-
Step it up, gentlemen.
But he's out there, kills a bear, kills a lion,
Yep.
and to him, that's growing his faith.
For sure.
So I don't know what that may look like in your life, like your faith growing, but
Yep.
it could be that small thing.
Well, I mean, find a place for the anchor to set in and then build on it.
Yeah.
You know.
And then from there, right, so he's going to go from there. Eventually, he's going to go up to where Goliath is mocking the Philistines.
Right.
I mean, Goliath's mocking the Israelites.
Yep.
And when David steps in, he's willing to fight Goliath at that time.
Right.
But that's because his faith has slowly been growing.
Yeah.
Right. And so I think that anchoring in your faith prepares you for that next battle, that courage, that boldness that you need.
Yep.
And so that's what you see David, I think, displaying there. So I heard a quote once when something like the faith, the size of the giant doesn't matter when your faith is bigger than the giant type of thing.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. C.S. Lewis.
No. I don't know who it was. Then maybe I made it up myself, and it's really not that good of a quote.
I think it's actually really good.
In my mind, it makes sense that, like, it doesn't matter how big the obstacle is,
Yeah.
as long as your faith's big
As long as
enough.
your face is bigger.
And you know that's where that's anchored.
Yep.
So in your life, like, for David, it's like, hey, Goliath, it's really not that big a deal
Right.
because my faith has taken me through these things. He's going to fall today.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I love what he says in Scripture, but he's pretty bold with his trash talking, what he's going to do to him. Right? Then he ends up cutting his head off. So the same is true with us, right? So whatever that failure is, like,
Yep.
I think for men, we fear probably failure,
Okay, for sure.
right?
Yep.
Like if our faith's big enough.
Well, we're kind of the leaders in our homes and our families.
Yeah.
And, it just, I think failure is probably one of the biggest things.
Yeah. And David, I don't know if I don't know if he feared failure because he was just so confident, but we're going to see David fail in his life.
Right.
So
But maybe not having a healthy fear of failure causes one to fail.
maybe I think there is a little bit of
Yeah.
knowing your humanity.
Right.
Yeah. So let's move on to that then.
Yeah.
So David, in 2 Samuel 11:12, it talks about. I love how the chapter opens. It's something like when the kings go off to war, and then David stays home.
Yeah.
So he has faith.
Great.
He's going where he needs to be. He goes up to Goliath. He's in battle.
Yeah.
He's running from Saul. He's doing these things, and it's like, now this is where kings are supposed to be, and David is not there.
You want me to feel inadequate some more?
Yeah.
This is the way to do it.
Yeah. So if you don't know the story, right? He commits adultery.
Yep.
And then he gets her pregnant, and then he kills her husband.
Rightfully so.
And then marries her, and then that child that he got pregnant with her dies, and then he has another child, which is Solomon, with her, which becomes the next king, and then through him comes the lineage of Jesus. He repents and turns back to God. But to me, this shows that a man's strength is not always in like his failures, but it's his
Kind
faith.
of way he rises up after his failures.
Yeah, his faith allows him to rise back up,
Yep.
right? And when you look at his faith allows him to do that, it's God allowing him to do that, right?
Right.
So God still chose to use David even though he failed.
Right.
So it's kind of like when you mess up, do you just run from God?
Well, I think it's like, look at it in a practical sense, as we all mess up.
Yeah.
And it's not that God's done using us.
Right.
You know, when the time's right again, after we've repented and after we've grown from what we've done in the past, then
Yeah.
God will use us again.
Yeah.
And I think we need to keep that in mind.
Yeah. I've gotten pretty passionate about that because
Yeah.
Christians, especially sometimes, like they think their sin's different from someone else's sin. It's because your sin's different than,
Yeah, like mine's not as bad as yours.
yeah, mine's not as bad as yours. God can never use you, but
Yeah.
he can still use me even though I'm a sinner. But when you look at Scripture, man, the strongest man in the Bible fell to sexual sin. The wisest man in the Bible fell to sexual sin. And the godliest man in the Bible fell to sexual sin.
Yeah.
That should, one, be a reminder to us to be on guard.
Right.
But God still used all three of them.
Yep.
Now, there was price to pay for what they did.
Right.
But God still chose to use them.
Yeah.
Broken people.
Yep.
And so we see that with David. He had faith in who God was. He had faith in God's grace, that God's his redeemer, and he still allowed God to use his
Yep.
life.
I think that's one of the things like you preach about regularly is pornography and sexual sin.
Yeah.
But it seems like it's the easiest one to fall into.
Yeah.
You know, it's
Yeah.
just it's just always there at our fingertips. It's always
Yep.
it's a stone's throw away. And
Yeah.
It's something that I think we should all be mindful of.
Definitely. Yeah, I think because you see that in Scripture, right?
Absolutely.
Guys falling. But I think with David's story, I think you can throw in whatever it is,
Yeah.
sin that you struggle with, and see that, man, God can still use you.
Oh, yeah.
And with David, we see his faith brings him back,
Right.
So he knows, like, I messed up. I'm going to repent. God's not done with me. He writes some Psalms that even talk about how his repentance is. Then he comes back and gets after it.
Yep.
Which I appreciate because I know you know me. We're both going to mess up.
Oh yeah.
Right. So it's,
There might be once or twice.
and then where do we go from there? Right.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to keep going.
Yeah.
Where do you want to go next?
You just want to quit.
No, man. I'm pretty excited about David's faith. The other thing I think that we kind of skipped over that I think is important in faith is the importance of waiting in our
Right.
faith.
Yeah, for sure.
That we have faith, but things don't happen right away. So
Yep.
we kind of mentioned that David had this, but he had patience and was waiting on God's timing for it
Right.
all to grow.
Yep.
I think as men, many times we want that instant satisfaction.
Yeah, instant
now.
gratification.
Yeah.
Yep.
And we want that in a lot of areas. But
Right.
one of those is like even accomplishing things in life.
Absolutely.
If we start this ministry,
Yep.
if we start this business, we think it should just blow up immediately.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
And it's
Yep.
it's not that way.
Could be a couple hundred episodes into a podcast.
Yeah. Yeah, I had a friend from like 20 years ago text me yesterday. I hadn't heard from him in probably years.
Yeah.
And he heard about the podcast, and he's been pretty successful helping some people with some podcasts and different stuff.
Cool.
And I told him where we're at, and I was like, man, we stay after it. He goes, man, you're probably not even getting close to where it'll even take off some more. He's like, you just got to stay after it and grind
Good.
for years
Good. That's what we're doing.
to see a podcast. Actually, I was like, oh. I was
Good
like,
to
well,
know.
thanks for your encouragement. Talk to you again in another 20 years.
Yeah, but there's faith in waiting.
there is. Yeah.
And it doesn't have to happen overnight. And if it did, we'd probably give up on it right away or
Yeah.
soon after.
Well, and he was even
'cause
talking about,
if we don't put the work into it.
yeah, that's what he's saying.
and-
The work is what it takes. Because you
Absolutely.
get better.
Yep.
and you just it makes you get better, right? So
Yep,
if you just
exactly.
keep doing it and listening to it, and so I mean, we've talked about it. Like, I know when you tell people to listen to the podcast, you're always like, "Don't go listen to season 1."
Right.
We were in a closet.
Yeah.
We didn't know what we're doing. We're talking all over each
Yeah.
other.
If nothing else, start season 2 or 3. Like,
Yeah.
and but yeah, I think it's gotten more entertaining. It's gotten more fun, and we've learned how to work with each other and talk to
Yeah.
each other, and not just in the sense like before this ever even happened. I mean, we do dinners or whatever, but it's just
Yeah.
it's totally different, and
It is.
so
Yeah.
I like this, but there is faith in waiting.
There's faith in waiting. So here's where we're going. Like, I think we're trying to set the stage for this entire season today. So just want to encourage you guys with your faith to really think about, like, what does that mean?
Right.
And where does that strength come from?
Yep.
Because David didn't beat up Goliath because he was stronger than Goliath.
Right.
He took care of Goliath because of where his faith was at,
Exactly.
and he knew God would do it. And so when you are anchored in your faith, you can walk through a valley.
Yep.
So even, I think of David writing Psalm 23, when I walk through the valley of shadow of death.
Yep.
When you walk through that valley, what I appreciate about Christianity is it doesn't say that God's on the other side of the valley, like cheering you on, waiting for you to get there.
Right.
It says as you walk through the valley, he's walking through the valley with you.
Exactly.
And that's where, when you have strong faith, man, you can walk through dark times.
Yep.
Because where your faith is anchored.
Exactly. And you can come out of those dark times.
Yeah. And so you can walk through it with confidence.
Right.
Right. And so we need godly, confident men, not confident in their abilities, but confident in the faith in God.
Yep.
Knowing that if I fall flat on my face, like David did,
Right.
commits adultery, kills a dude, his kid dies, doesn't get much lower than that,
Right.
right? He's king,
Yeah.
and his faith is anchored to God, and God's like, no, man, I'm not done with you.
Right.
You still have purpose, and brings him back and uses him.
Exactly.
So even from that, like Solomon, his son, Jesus comes through that lineage when
Yep.
he's born. So in Matthew chapter 1, if you trace back the ancestors of Christ, you go through Solomon, which goes through Bathsheba and David.
Remember when you had your daughters read this lineage one day
Oh,
on
a few years
stage?
back. Yeah, they were
that
a
was
little kid.
great.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. When you read a lot of big names in the Bible, like if I do it,
Yeah.
I get text messages and people's like, you said that name wrong. Like, well, I have my 7-year-old daughter do it. So when
Right.
she does it, which she reads them better than me anyways,
Yeah.
sometimes, but no one's going to complain about it because it's
Right.
cute when she does it.
Yeah.
Right? So yeah. Yeah.
Nice job.
Yeah. So, all right. Anything else on faith?
No, I don't think so. Thanks for sticking with us for 140 episodes, and
Is that what it's at?
I have no idea.
You
It's
don't
somewhere
know.
close to
You're
there,
okay.
but it's in the realm.
Probably.
And,
yeah.
let's keep moving forward and let's keep plugging away. And if there's any questions or comments or concerns, or maybe not concerns, but the rest of them, you can email or send
Yeah.
a message, and let's keep doing this.
Yep. Share it on
There's
social
faith
media.
in waiting.
Tell your friends about it,
Yeah.
and be watching soon, and to get registered for the April thing. We'll get
Yeah.
a good name.
Yeah, we will.
And just remember, when life knocks you down, faith picks you back up.
Nice job.
All right. See ya.